The N12 has been reopened following clashes between police and residents of the Slovo Park informal settlement near Eldorado Park. Earlier, protesters blockaded roads and looted a truck during peak hour traffic. Disgruntled residents are protesting over service delivery issues. Earlier this week, a 16-year-old boy was killed during protest action. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute has condemned what it calls the indiscriminate violence and excessive force used by police in the protest in Slovo Park. An investigation into the death of a teenager is now underway, and it's alleged that 16-year-old Karabo Chaka was killed after being shot in the back of the head by the police. But the Independent Police Investigative Directorate says it is awaiting the postmortem to be performed and will subsequently then speak on the matter. Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa senior attorney Khululiwe Bhengu and Slovo Park community leader Eldorado Marula join us live now. Eldorado, I'm going to start with you. What happened? All right, I don't think Eldorado is with us on the line now. Let me go to you, Khululiwe. In your, the evidence that you've gathered in this particular regard, what happened?
So the community of Slovo Park had a meeting, a public meeting on Sunday, and they obviously raised the concerns that they have with the lack of service delivery, despite obtaining a court order in 2016. And they decided that they would display their grievances in a protest commencing on Monday. This unfortunately saw a visibility of a lot of law enforcement officers and public officers who public order police officers. And this led to the untimely death of Karabo Chaka, who was shot inside a yard when he was not part of the protest.
So Karabo was not part of the protest?
Yes, he was not part of the protest.
So
he was not even in the highway. He was inside the yard. The police officers came to the yard and then they shot a shot in the air. And then as he tried to flee for his life, they then shot him.
Sure. That is quite something. And I suppose this, this particular incident, once again, I mean, we've seen violent protests in South Africa over time. And one wonders if really is this a failure in training when it comes to police understanding how to diffuse some of these situations?
Definitely. It's a failure in training and a complete refusal to adhere to the directives, because the police directives are very clear on how protests must be handled, on when force must be used, and when the degree can be chosen, what degree can be chosen, depending on the circumstances. But what we've seen over the years with protests in South Africa is that force is used indiscriminately, which affects protesters and causes the loss of life of people who are in the surrounding circumstances, who just like Karabo.
So, Khululiwe, one of the things that is also very clear, I mean, remember when you look at what the police also have to, look into when it comes to the public order policing case that is, and you think about the standing orders, as you say, that are telling them when to use force and when not to use it. In what you've heard, what kind of ammunition was used in this particular regard? Was it live rounds or something else?
So it's unclear to us what ammunition was used that led to Karabo's death. We're still waiting for the postmortem to be done in his body so that we have conclusive evidence on what force was used. But we do know that live fire was used to disperse the crowd. A number of cartridges were picked up by a number of committee members in the settlement, showing that clear firearms were used to disperse people.
And so what kind of services, from where you're standing, because we were hoping to speak to the community themselves, what are the things that they're crying about the most when it comes to services?
So this is, it backdates to 2 decades ago. So Slovo Park informal settlement had been negotiating with the municipality, that is the city of Johannesburg, to try and get the informal settlement upgraded in terms of the upgrading program. However, their cries were not heard. And that's when they approached the Socio-Economic Rights Institute to try and go vindicate those rights in the court of law. And we went to court, and in 2016, the High Court in Johannesburg ordered for the municipality to make an application for the USP to province. It ordered that their failure to make that application was unlawful and that they should make such an application. Of course, there's much hope to the residents that at least now upgrading was going to happen. And since the court order in 2016, we've been engaging with the municipality, we've engaged with the province, and the only thing that the residents have to show for their court order is a partial electrification. There's no sanitation, there's no sufficient steps for the informal settlement, and there's no permanent toilets, which has led to the death of several young children in the settlement who died in the pit latrine toilet. So
All
this
right.
is what the